Hey everybody, it's Vanessa. We're continuing our series on building bridges and looking at how Jesus did that throughout his life in the Bible. So today we're talking about how Jesus built bridges through his kindness. So there's 3 stories that I kind of just want to point out that I feel represent how Jesus used his kindness to build bridges through different situations and just scenarios that even existed back in those days and just situations that we have today. So the first story is about Jesus and the woman in the well. And just a quick story, Jesus goes and he meets this woman at the well, offers water. He knows a little bit more about her life and she's just surprised at who he is and who is this man and how does he know all this information. But one of the main things to point out of this story is a lot of people talk about it of how Jesus spoke to a woman, how back then men didn't really speak to women. But actually the main point of the story is Jesus spoke to a Samaritan woman. Jesus was Jewish, and back then the Jews and the Samaritans did not get along. It's almost how we have black versus white or brown versus white, or kind of just how we have these different races and how they just don't get along with each other. So back then Jews would actually take a few extra days to walk around the entire country of Samaria just so they could avoid talking to any Samaritans. But Jesus decided to go straight through Samaria, and there he met a woman at a well and he talked to her kindly. He spoke with her. So Jesus helped build a bridge through his kindness through that way by offering her living water and saying, you might have messed up and here's everything that you've done in your past. He's like, but I want to offer you living water so you can live life abundantly. And even when the disciples came back, they were surprised that he was talking to her. And they could have started a race riot, they could have started all of these things, but the disciples were astounded that Jesus took the time to talk to a woman, and a Samaritan woman, and was talking about living water and spiritual food and things that they couldn't fully grasp. But Jesus just offered out what he had, and that was his life and an ability to live eternally and just believing in God and being the Messiah. And then another story is about Zacchaeus. Now, some of you may know the song, Zacchaeus was a wee little man. If you don't know it, that's okay. I learned it in children's ministry. But Zacchaeus was just a small man that he was a tax collector. He was kind of, back then tax collectors were wealthy-ish people, but they also didn't, they did shady business. And from there, people just weren't really fond of tax collectors, because a lot of the people were poor and they were having money taken away from them and taxes being collected for various reasons that didn't make sense. And here Zacchaeus was one of those tax collectors. And one day Jesus was walking through the city of Jerusalem, and Zacchaeus, being as small as he was, couldn't see. So he climbed up in a tree so he could see Jesus. And all of a sudden Jesus turned around and called him out by name. He said, Zacchaeus, I'm gonna go to your house. And Zacchaeus climbed down, talked to him, and went to his house. And there Jesus shared a meal with him. It was something simple, but Jesus didn't care that he was a tax collector. He didn't care about how he was viewed by society, or that it was this kind of us versus them scenario. Jesus was willing to say, you're a human, you're a child of God, and you want to get to know me, so I want to get to know you. And he went to his house and he shared a meal, and he helped build that kind of socioeconomic bridge. It's kind of a big word. But it didn't matter that he was higher up or lower down or poor or rich. It was just, he was a man that wanted to know Jesus, so Jesus took the time to want to get to know him as well. And then the last story kind of is about a woman who had been bleeding for 12 years, and she just really wanted to see Jesus to be healed, and if she could just touch his coat, that was it. That's all she wanted to do. She didn't need to be seen. She was okay with being hidden. She was already used to being alone, because back then if you were bleeding, people didn't want anything to do with you. You were seen as dirty and unvaluable, and you kind of were just an outcast. And she just wanted to be healed, and she didn't care if she was seen. She just wanted to be healed. And so one day as Jesus was walking through a crowd, he felt someone reach out and touch his robe. and turned around and said, "Who touched me?" And his disciples are like, "It's crowded. Everybody's touching you." And he's like, No, there was something different. And he turned around and he saw the woman kneeling on the ground, and she was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, if I could just touch your robe. And he turned around, he said, daughter, your faith has made you well. And that was big because, again, she was alone, she was outcast, and for him to call her daughter and to give her a name and see her and to give her value, Jesus reached out and built that bridge with her. So the story of the woman at the well, again, can be found in John chapter 4, verses 4 through 38. And the story of Zacchaeus can be found in Luke chapters 19, verses 1 through 10. And the story of the bleeding woman can be found in Matthew chapter 9, verses 18 to 22. And there's more to the stories of all that's going on, but simply Jesus built bridges with just his kindness. With the woman at the well, he built a bridge with his kindness by just offering her water, offering her living water and the ability to live life eternally and to have a relationship with God and to see her as not by her race, not by her gender, but as a human who deserves to know God and to live eternally. So his kindness was just offering her something more valuable than she could understand. And for Zacchaeus, he built a bridge through, again, there was the tax collectors and the poor people and the rich and everything that was going on. And Jesus just turned around and said, you want to get to know me, so I want to get to know you. So he shared a meal. It was that simple. Just offering kindness by sharing a meal with someone who people did not like, did not see as valuable, did not see worth it. He was collecting taxes. He didn't deserve to have Jesus eat lunch with him. But Jesus just reached out and said, I'm going to share a meal with you. I don't care what anyone else thinks. You want so much more for your life, and I'm willing to take the time to do this with you. And the bleeding woman, again, she was an outcast, and Jesus turned around and called her daughter. He gave her value. He gave her a name. He saw her. And sometimes that's all people want to do, is they just want to be seen. They want to know that someone cares, that someone is willing to stop and just say hello or offer a smile. For her, it was just to be seen, to be given a name. And that's how Jesus built that bridge. There's a lot more stories about how Jesus used his kindness to see people, to reach out to people, to cross gender lines, to cross racial lines, to cross socioeconomic lines. Again, all of the issues we're still having today, Jesus was still facing back then. But he saw them as humans. He saw them as people. He saw them as children of God. And he offered out his hand to heal people. He shared meals with people, even with his own disciples. He took the time to listen, to hang out with people, to share meals, to tell them of what is to come, to give them more information, to answer their questions. Again, we aren't Jesus. We don't have the patience. We don't have the ability to just roam around for days and meet everybody. But we do have the ability to be kind, to see people as people, to see people as children of God. And we can buy them groceries. We can share a meal with them. We can send them a letter. We can offer kind words. We can just simply reach out and say, I see you. You're going through a lot, but I see you. We can just be here for people, sit in silence, to give them a phone call, to check in. And sometimes building bridges is as simple as that. It's just being kind and seeing people as children of God and seeing people the way Jesus did. And I think that's what the world really needs now, is we need more kindness bridges. So as you go throughout your week, again, we're still underneath this quarantine. We're still under safety precautions. There's still a lot of limitations. But we don't have to limit our kindness. So how can you find a way to reach out to someone and be kind to them? Even if they don't deserve it. That was the big thing with Jesus. A lot of people saw who he helped and who he offered kindness to, and they thought, they don't deserve it. Why are you wasting your time with them? But Jesus said, no, you're alive. You deserve it. So how can you find ways to reach out and to be kind to your family members, to your friends, to people at the store, to people on social media? So it's a challenge for you as you go throughout this week, is how can you build kindness bridges? And God, just help us to see those opportunities, to be able to see people as you see them, and to be able to offer kind words, to offer food, to offer our time. So help us to see those opportunities this week, and help us just to continue to be you as much as we can to the people around us. We love you guys. We're praying for you, and we hope we get to see you all soon. But continue to stay safe and stay healthy. We love you.